Mental illness is something that we tend to shy away from talking about. A lot of media feels that it is just too dark or risky, but in the last 10 or so years, we've seen these types of silent illnesses start to come to the forefront of various forms of artistic expression. Though a place where mental illness has been continuously explored for years has actually been in comics. It makes sense when you think about it. A lot of superheroes and villains have withstanded traumatic experiences on the daily, and while they may have survived these events physically, a lot of things seem to take a mental toll on our comic book characters. Today we are going to discuss just that as we count down the top 10 superheroes with mental illness. There are a lot of them, so feel free to comment with your predictions on who made our cut in the comments below. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Bloodshot. Coming to us from Valiant Comics, Bloodshot was a man who underwent experimentation which turned him into a super soldier and weapon due to nanobots that were put into his bloodstream. This procedure also caused him to suffer from amnesia. As such, Bloodshot often spends his time working hard to retrieve his true identity from Project Rising Spirit, who also turned him into the weapon he is. He has memories of many different lives which it is later revealed were embedded in him by PRS, in an attempt to control him and bend him to their will, helping to give him motivation for the many successful missions that they sent him on. Number 9. The Thing. While Daredevil is also known from suffering from this mental illness, when it comes to depression, my mind always goes to the Thing first. Someone who has struggled with his monstrous appearance more than anyone I can think of in Marvel, including the Hulk. While Ben Grimm may be fully in control of himself and his wits while in his rock form, he can truly never leave it. Many also ponder on his name, The Thing. Seems like such an insulting name. It's rude that we call him that. But did you know that this was the name Grimm actually gave himself, cursing his form and questioning why he had to become this thing? That was his initial reaction, and from there, the name just stuck. He consistently expresses suicidal thoughts and frequently goes into bouts of depression. Part of the reason why he enjoys fighting so much is because it allows him to escape these thoughts, and is when he feels the most useful. Number 8. Batman. While this has been debated and never outright confirmed by DC, a lot of Batman's writers like to explore the idea of Batman's potential insanity. It could easily be argued that he suffers from dissociative identity disorder. He has been shown to have multiple personalities, from billionaire Bruce Wayne to the Batman to his alias Matches Malone. He even made an alternate backup persona in case everything ever went sideways. Granted, you could just attribute this to Batman being prepared, but if it's something Batman prepares for, it means that he believes it can happen. Beyond this, he has also worn different batsuits with different personalities, like when he fully became Zur-En-Arrh. He also exhibits some obsessive-compulsive behavior and anxiety when it comes to all of his contingency plans and his strictness in regards to expectations and rules. He at one point insisted he needed to wear a different colored suit every night, having one for each color of the rainbow. So there's also that. Kind of obsessed Batman. Number 7. Legion. Another sometimes hero who suffers from dissociative identity disorder, for sure this time, is Legion. I know he's often more villain than hero, but honestly, I don't think this is much of a choice for Legion. He has exhibited his capacity for heroics before. I personally believe a lot of the reason why he is villainous simply stems from his mental illness. It's probably hard to keep everything straight when you have so many personas living within you. Usually when David manages to regain control of his mind, he tends to work more towards heroic goals, at one point even believing he was meant to help his father, Professor X, achieve his dream of bringing mutants and humans together in harmony. Legion frequently reverts back to his evil ways, unfortunately, when he absorbs others' psyches and personas. At one point, he had hundreds of personas residing within him, which admittedly would be a lot to wrestle with. Number 6. Zatanna Zatara. Zatanna struggles with addiction to magic. Granted, this one is a little more lighthearted in terms of the other members on this list. Zatanna is like She-Hulk and many other superheroes. She is addicted to power, more specifically her own magical powers. And I wanted to lighten up the list a bit by including a mental illness that was more rooted in fiction and less so in the real world. Though many people struggle with addiction in the real world, none of, I think, are addicted to magic. That is to say, real supernatural magic, because, you know, it simply doesn't exist. Sorry to everyone who is waiting for a Hogwarts letter. It it's not coming. Zatanna's addiction, while it exists in a very fictional world though, does go to show that one can be addicted to just about anything, even the things that we think make us stronger or better or more valuable. In fact, if you find something that makes you feel that way, you have a very good chance of becoming addicted to it. Because hey, it makes you feel good. So you might want more of it and to do or have whatever it is that makes you feel that way all the time. Zatanna gets counseling help in regards to her addiction in her own 7 Soldiers 4-issue series, confessing that she is a spellaholic. Number 5. Iron Man. Going back to real-world issues, Iron Man's story has explored a real-world addiction that many experience, an addiction to alcohol. Iron Man is shown struggling with his addiction throughout the comics and is not alone in the struggle. Flash Thompson, one of Peter Parker's friends and later Agent Venom, also struggles with alcoholism. Demon in a Bottle is a particularly good story arc to follow if you want to tap into Stark's struggles with his addiction. Oddly enough, the actor who played Tony Stark in the MCU, Robert Downey Jr., also has struggled with addiction, which makes his portrayal of the character feel that much more grounded and real, though the films have sort of glazed over some of his addiction and struggles. I think Iron Man dealt with it in maybe like 1 movie. We still got a really good sense of just how high the stakes can get though when it comes to wrestling with this mental illness. Addiction is scary. In the super world, it'll actually make you fight your best friend while you're both wearing Iron Man armor. Apparently. Number 4. Hank Pym. Hank is an erratic hero to say the least, and his behavior has gotten him blacklisted time and time again by many readers and superheroes, despite the fact that he is known for being one of the most brilliant minds in the Marvel-verse. He slapped his wife Janet Van Dyne so hard across the face that she fell backwards from the hit. As such, he was kicked off the Avengers team and Janet began the proceedings towards divorcing him. He also kind of kidnapped her and made her marry him, though Janet was willing at the time since she felt like she'd been waiting for Hank forever, who often did not express an interest in marriage. This go-between of these dramatic mood swings, really wanting to get married, not wanting to get married at all, would later cause Hank to self-diagnose himself as bipolar. Really wanting to get married, not wanting to get married at all, being violent, being calm and non-violent, just an example. While I'm not looking to exonerate him by putting him on the list, I would like to acknowledge that when dealing with mental illness, one of the first steps you can take towards getting better is admitting you have a problem. Beyond this, many have speculated that Hank may also suffer from dissociative identity disorder, as many other heroes do. As a result of the drastically different hero personas he seems to have gone between throughout the years. And I'm not just talking about his time as Yellow Jacket, there's a lot more. Number 3. Scarlet Witch. The famous events of House of M were literally caused by this hero's mental illness. Scarlet Witch has suffered from a few psychotic breaks in the comics, which has made some other heroes reluctant when it comes to working with this former mutant and reluctant to trust her. Scarlet Witch is next level powerful with her chaos magic reality altering abilities, which makes her struggles with mental illness far more terrifying. House of M happened because Scarlet Witch decided to alter reality to grant what she wished, but after it was shattered by other heroes eventually realizing that it wasn't real and coming after Scarlet Witch to make her stop, altering reality, she had a breakdown. Breaking her illusion meant losing her children, which granted they weren't real, but were something Wanda desperately wanted. This ended up leading to the death of Quicksilver later on, which caused Wanda to have another psychotic break, freak out, and wish for no more mutants. Hence, House of M. Number 2. Moon Knight. Now that Moon Knight is getting his own series, everyone is talking about him and all the trauma he lives with. Mark Spector was traumatized from a young age after finding out a family friend, who was also a trusted rabbi, was actually a Nazi serial killer. Yeah. From there he also served in the military and later as a mercenary, seeing all kinds of violent things. He ended up being granted powers from the Egyptian god Khonshu, who saved his life in exchange for his servitude. But in Moon Knight's comics, not even the reader really knows what's real. That's how complex his issues are. They translate right into the writing. Mark definitely suffers from dissociative identity disorder, but beyond that, he is also sometimes depicted as suffering from hallucinations. There's one story arc that leaves the reader questioning as to whether or not Khonshu is even real, and throughout his comics we aren't even sure if he has powers or not. Mark has a few personas that he goes between, one of the most famous being Jake Lockley, who he even fully lived as for a time. But he also often adopts the personas of his superhero friends, sometimes even masquerading as them. He one time impersonated Spider-Man to the length that other people actually believed he was Peter Parker. When Spidey found out, he asked Mark to stop it, please. Just stop it. Number 1. Sentry. The split personality to end all split personalities. Robert Reynolds was a junkie who was looking for his next hit when he stumbled across his powers while ransacking a laboratory late one night. This hero has a slew of mental illnesses, from addiction to split personality to agoraphobia, the fear of any place that might cause you anxiety or stress. His agoraphobia almost prevents him from completing his duties as a hero, as he struggles to even leave his home as a result of it. He has been shown being addicted to both alcohol and heroin, and his split personality often pits him against himself, as his other persona is the Void, one of the world's greatest supervillains. Sentry cannot exist without the Void, and vice versa. So while Robert is capable of doing much good, he is also equally capable of doing many terrible things as well. Robert has got to be one of the most troubled heroes, which is what makes his comics so relatable. He really struggles, and as powerful as he is, he still has so much to overcome, making the level of powers he has also terrifying to contemplate. Someone so damaged wielding so much power makes him a very dangerous hero indeed. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed this list. Were your predictions correct? What superheroes did I leave out that you would love to see on a part 2? I personally really want to include Daredevil and Wonder Woman as well, if we get to do a part 2. They both also struggle in a way that is just beautifully written. How do you feel about how mental illness is depicted in comics? Do you hate it? Love it? Is there an illness you wish was explored more within the realm of fiction? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're on your way down there, be sure to tap that like, smash that sub, ring our bell, and share, share, share. Getting people talking about mental illness is so important when it comes to helping to combat it. While our superheroes struggle with many different illnesses, so do many real-world people every day. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to be unafraid to use literature to help motivate meaningful discussions, and as always, to stay nerdy, YouTube.